We're all set. All right, it is now 6:36 p.m. I would like to call the Design Review Board meeting of January 11th, 2024 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Design Review Board meeting will be conducted in person to maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access. Members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. Will staff please take roll call?
Board Member Carlson.
Here.
Board Member Hill.
Here.
Board Member Younger. Absent. Vice Chair Sy.
Here.
And Chair Nichols.
Here.
You have quorum.
Okay, next we move on to the approval of the agenda. Board members, do you have any requests for additions or revisions to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand.
No.
All right, seeing no request, I would like a vote of the board to proceed with approval of the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we have no nays. So next is the disclosure by board members of site visits and ex parte contact for items on today's agenda. Board member Carlson?
None.
No. Board member Hill?
None.
Vice Chair Sy?
No.
And myself, none. Okay, next is public comment for general items that are not on the agenda. Has staff received any public comment in person or via Zoom?
We have not received public comments in chambers. Guests on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on items not on the agenda. And we do not have public comments via Zoom.
So next, I guess we do the approval of the action minutes as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have no nays. Okay, then we're on to our first item, project number 2507 DRX.
Staff is recommending that we continue this item to the February 1st meeting.
Okay. Okay, so can I get a motion and a second to continue that?
I'll make a motion to continue the project to February 1st.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Will staff please take roll call?
Board Member Carlson.
Yes.
Board Member Hill.
Yes.
Vice Chair Sy.
Yes.
And Chair Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, then our next one is project number 2561 DRX. Staff, do we have a presentation?
We do. Good evening, board members. I'm Mackenzie Goldberg, and I will be presenting item number 7 this evening for project number 2561 DRX, located at 1930 Primrose Avenue. Here is an aerial view of the project site. It is located on the easterly side of Primrose Avenue. The subject site is a 6,701 square foot lot located within the residential single family zone and is currently improved with a 1,273 square foot single family home that was originally built in 1925. The applicant is requesting a design review permit for a 866 square foot first floor addition, a 206 square foot second floor addition, and a new front porch entry. Here are the existing and proposed site plans. Demolition work is shown on the existing site plan in blue. The new construction is shown on the proposed site plan in green. Here are the existing and proposed first floor plans, again showing the demo work in blue and the new construction in green. As shown, the addition is located at the rear of the existing home. Here is the new second floor plan at 206 square feet. The new second story is modest in size. Here are the existing and proposed roof plans. The first-story addition features 2 front-facing gabled roofs, while the second-story addition is created through a shed dormer. Here are the existing and proposed front elevations. The proposed front elevation shows a new front porch entryway. The second-story addition is lower in height than the existing structure. As such, it is not visible from this elevation. Here are the existing and proposed rear elevations, showing the first and second-story additions. Here are the existing and proposed south side elevations. From the south elevation, you can see the first floor addition extend to the east, as well as the second-story addition. Here are the existing and proposed north elevations. Again, you can see the additions extending to the rear of the property. Staff recommends that the design review board first find the project exempt under CEQA guidelines exemption, class 1 exemption for existing facilities, and 2, approve project number 2561 DRX subject to the conditions of approval. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for questions.
No.
No.
Does the applicant have a presentation?
The applicant does not have a presentation, but they are here and available for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
No.
I do.
Mm.
Okay. So my first question. Hi.
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Fariba, and I'm the owner of this house.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
I have a background of architectural and civil engineering, so I am familiar with all these details. So,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Would you mind speaking to the microphone?
yes, I am the owner, and also I am an architect and civil engineer both. I have background, so actually, but my structural engineer is not here.
Okay.
So you can ask me any question.
Got it. Okay. So one of my first questions is that I noticed all the old windows has this nice trim around it. It's like a white trim. It's thicker on the top and on the sides, but all the new windows looks like all the siding just goes up to the window without any trim, according to the elevations. Is that the intent?
All the windows has the trim. Yes, the window has a wood trim all around. it.
All the new windows will have the same trim?
Yes.
Okay, the elevations don't reflect that.
Sure, we will do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they are intended to have the same trim.
It could be, without the trim too, because it's in the back. It's completely different than the front. So it could be without the trim too.
Okay, so is that the intention or like the design intention or what,
Yes, it's intention not having the trim.
to not have to
No,
trim?
no.
Okay. And then is that also the same for the function of the window? All the existing windows, I noticed are either single, double hung, and then all the new windows are sliding.
Yes, because I have some, arthritis. I can't really lift, my hands up. So it's going to be much easier for me to open the window
From
sideways.
Okay. Okay, those are the only 2 questions I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, I will now open public hearing. Staff, are there any public comments for this item?
We do not have any public comments in chambers. Guests on Zoom, if you have any questions, please raise your hand icon to make a public comment on item number 7. And we do not have any public comments via Zoom. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have one. The name is I'm sorry if I mispronounce your oh, I guess not. He just logged off, right? Okay, I'm sorry, Chair. There are no public comments via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will now close the public comments and have a discussion amongst the board. Would someone like to begin the discussion?
I could, I mean, with respect to the windows, there's something, in addition to your question about them being a different style, there's the scale seems a little, there's, if you look at the south elevation, the windows on the addition seem quite small and they're placed kind of high. I wonder exactly why that's the case. It doesn't seem consistent with the existing part of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to do with the program. So if you look at on the plan on A3, there's a bathroom, a laundry room, and a stair
Mhm.
well.
Oh,
So I think
not
that's
really living spaces on that.
not really, that's that's what I'm assuming, why they're smaller there. But it,
And higher.
and higher.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
they're above the,
Okay.
toilet and above the
That makes
stairwell.
sense. And then with respect to the rear elevation, um, I can't quite understand the three big, are those sliding doors? The big wall of windows on the east elevation.
Mhm.
Like in the existing house has like French doors and two windows at the side, and that's been replaced with, on this new addition, with these 5 big glass panels, I would assume.
So it looks like the 2 bays on the left are the doors, and then the 3 bays on the right are fixed. And those are labeled as windows. So it's like a bank of windows manufactured with the door. And so it's only the farthest left leaf is operable. If that makes sense.
I guess I just feel like it would be, I know it's the back of the house, but
Yeah.
it would be far more interesting if it was like French doors with side lights or something, that kind of more in the character of a 1925 house.
Or like if it was like a patio door plus like a window, like the window 7, like, is that what you're saying? Like if it was just one patio door and then like a regular window?
Yeah,
Or
and
something.
even possibly some separation between,
Mhm.
some siding between the. It's just a thought on I think it would be more interesting, but it's not a game changer.
My interpretation of it is that the addition is like a little more modern, and they're trying to distinguish like the new and the old, right? And then so there's no trim around the windows. The windows have like a newer function, the sliding. Although I don't love the 2 sliding with the 1 fixed. I'd rather just have 1 like divider and then just have like the 2. It simplifies it more. I don't like the 3 bay windows so much. It almost is a little more, even more distracting to me than, than just the 2 bays. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. You're talking about specifically on A11 where it shows the slider and the movable panel and how it's just one. And so you've got basically a sliding door and then windows
Yeah.
next to it. Yeah.
And then if you divide it up, then you have like, then it looks a little more
Yeah.
like not as modern as Joe was saying. But like this house is not historical, so like,
Yeah.
it's if it's their intent to make the back look modern and different than the front, then that's the design intent.
Which I think is okay if that's the intent behind it.
Right.
But Joe, to your point about it, it does feel like that the sliding glass door or that combination of a slider and the window panes takes up a lot of small facade. It's really not a big, it's not a big, span of wall. So it just seems like a lot of, and then to just have one movable panel, one operable door panel seems,
Yeah.
it doesn't
That,
make sense to
Right,
me.
that
versus-
totally makes sense.
versus
I think
if you-
you know, I know this isn't a real tight rendering. Sometimes these computer programs don't really show exactly what it's
Yeah.
gonna look like. But if I were walking up to that rear of the house, I wouldn't know which one of those 5 things to go to.
Or
Yeah,
you
into
want
the
to
house.
open up the whole wall, right? Like, so
Yeah.
it would look like one of those, like accordion doors where you
Yeah.
can open up the entire
Oh, yes.
opening, right? So it looks like that at first. So, but then you realize there's
those
only
are-
one piece that slides.
Yeah.
I thought that
Which
that's what it
feels-
was. I thought it was like a nano wall or a panda wall that
Yeah.
does slide in the accordion style. But
Or those
It-
ones that cantilever in the center, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, or that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially it's just one patio door.
I'm
plus
assuming it's due to cost reasons that it's not. The less operable panels you have, the cheaper typically doors are. I don't know if that's been your experience. That's my experience. So I'm guessing that's why the that move was made. It does feel pretty large for that specific facade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually okay with without the trim, the extra trim, because there's the contrast of the contemporary and the new versus the old. So I mean, it would be interesting to see what it would look like with the trim, and the proportions of the new window are much more horizontal than the existing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a change, but to your point, Melissa, I think the contemporary versus the old traditional and the differences is okay.
But I think with the trim, like to Joe's comment, those 3 little windows, that
would
it would
look
look a
more
little more
substantial.
balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would
I
look a little
agree.
more Balanced. Like even the new east elevation, like that window 7 looks so small on that facade without the trim. You know, with the
New
right
e-
here.
Yeah,
If you had added trim, then it just looks a little, it fills it a little more, or like I want to make that window bigger, you
I do
know?
too. I want to make it taller in some
Yeah.
way, make it look, it's very horizontal. And
Mhm.
again, that's a similar, it's interesting because the front of the house, the west elevation shows, overall, all of the windows, there's a set of 2, and then on the opposite side, there's a set of 3. But they look more vertical because of the individual windows themselves.
Mhm.
Whereas we're not achieving that same aesthetic or look, because we're putting in a totally different, because a different window is being put in
Mhm.
on the east elevation on the backside. So
I don't really mind the big patio opening. I'm just, I guess I'm thinking from just the experience wanting your living room to have
Yeah.
this big view of the backyard.
But
I
the
guess-
backyard's like just concrete looking to the garage.
And I guess I'm questioning, so the sliding door on the patio, on the sheet A11. So does the whole thing labeled door F, does that whole double piece slide, or is it just half? of the
It
piece?
looks like just half. It's like basically one traditional patio door
Yeah.
and then
But one
3,
panel slides.
one panel, and then it's 3. It looks like 3.
I mean, it's literally
Different ones.
labeled door on the one to the right hand,
Mhm.
excuse me, to the left
Yeah,
hand side, and
so
then
half of it
window.
slides.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's what it, like the diagram looks like. Yeah.
Which is, how do you even detail that? I've never done a door and a window like that next to each other. Usually it's one complete
Yeah,
set.
you
Right?
have to like mold them together.
Or something, right?
And-
Usually it
yeah.
becomes as one if you're gonna do multiple.
Yeah. And this is vinyl.
and it's final. I don't know if that's even,
Well, we could ask.
we should, yeah, maybe, is it possible, can we bring the applicant back up? Okay. Would you mind coming back to the stand? Thanks.
Yes, what's the question?
So the question is, we're questioning door F and window 10. And on the drawings, it looks like one piece. And we're questioning, does the manufacturer make this door window combination as one piece?
Yes, but you know, it can be two separate pieces that they can put it together, and it might be a little, gap between, just like a wall. That is not going to be exact the same as it is. It depends on the, window and doors, the factory, that how they're going to provide this to us. So I don't mind if they, they give us just a window, fixed window, and then a little bit gap between as a wall, and then door, sliding door. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same as it is, as you see.
Oh, so there would be spacing
Would
between the
be, yeah.
window and the door?
Yeah, it might be just a little space, yes.
Okay, so that's a different, that's even more of a different look than I'd say. You've got a separate door, because often, I'm assuming too, I don't, without seeing the spec, like the actual spec sheet, that's a really big window. And that I know will probably be pricey, and it's probably gonna be custom made, would be my assumption. I don't know, maybe one of the other architects can comment on that if that's the window. The door, the sliding door makes sense to me, the dimensions, but the window itself. So I would imagine that that's,
So
That-
if, yeah, like.
and it's not gonna go to the floor, so that's a different look.
So does it make more sense to just, because you will have, I guess, a piece of wall between the door and the window. Does it make sense to just do two patio sliding doors? You'll still get the same look,
No, one is good enough, but the other is just for purpose of, being,
the view, but
seeing the outside, the landscape. That's the whole purpose. But one small gap between the fixed
mhm.
windows and the sliding door is okay for us. It depends on, how they give. Actually, it has to be custom anyway. I think so. I don't know it yet, but
But
Yeah.
it will be offset from the ground. So the way you've drawn it, it looks like it's a door, but in reality, you'll have a sill plate and everything. So it'll be a few inches off the ground.
yes.
Right. So it's not going to look like the way it's drawn. It's not going to, because the window will have to be mounted onto some type of,
I'm not sure about that. Still, this depends on the detail and then the door that the factory give it to us.
so it's a door that it'll be more like a door assembly than a window assembly.
Because you need a threshold.
Yeah.
And then,
Yes, of course, yes.
yeah, because you got waterproofing challenges then.
Yes.
And that's essentially a storefront we're talking about. And even with storefronts, you put in curbs. So I feel like, I think we need a detail of that to kind of see what that condition is. Because if it's going to be a window that goes all the way to the floor, that detail.
It's not going to be, it's going to be a little bit, actually, maybe 6 inches or 4 inches above. That
Okay.
would be much better, yes.
Right. So the drawing is not accurate to what you're actually going to be building. That's what you're
This
saying.
window, no.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. It has to be like a few inches, 4 inches, probably 3-4 inches above the ground. And then the window starts.
Okay.
That's the whole purpose is just having a one piece glasses to just see the outside,
Hmm. And you
And-
mentioned that your structural engineer is not here. Has the structural engineer reviewed the plans?
They reviewed, but this is something very minor. They don't really mind. I mean, this is something that it's very detailed in the door. We can
Could-
change it later on. I mean, it doesn't really
Okay.
have a big effect on this plan or the design. this is something that we can just order it from the window or door factory and bring it and ask them to just put it 4 inches above the ground.
Understood. That my concern with this, you know, how it's drawn right now is you're most likely going to have to put in, I'd assume, a steel beam. That's a pretty big span. And I'm not sure about shear, if there's shear in that location. I
The
don't,
shear,
no.
yes, if the structure, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
It depends. If there is any shear wall needed on that, on that side, then we might omit one of those fixed window and make it all shear wall.
That most
So
likely will be the
that
case.
is after the structural calculation and design, yes.
Yeah. I know it's challenging this early on when you're doing the design and if you haven't had a full structural review. So sometimes that comes up later but that would also be my concern is that most likely that middle panel is going to have to be, I don't know the structural design. I don't know if there's shear in that location, but most likely I'm assuming there's going to be some, probably 18 inches needed for shear
Yes,
in
if
that
they say
location.
we need it, definitely we're gonna just.
But if
work
not-
that. If not, then yes.
And then I'm assuming the span, it looks like a pretty deep span there. So most likely they'll need some kind of a beam too. So,
Yeah, that's gonna be a structural design.
yeah.
So basically you're saying, so what you just described to us is not exactly what's shown on the drawing, because if you're saying let's say the top of the window and the top of the door are aligned, on the window schedule, it's, they're both 7 feet high, but you're saying it's going to be 6 inches off the ground, so it's actually going to be 6'6". or
6
something.
inches or 4 inches, it depends. I'm not sure. It depends on the door that we're gonna get it from the factory. So I think this is something very minor that we can solve it later on. It's not a really major problem. Especially when it's next to the concrete and we don't want to have any rain going this way. So yes, it has to go a little bit above the ground. And I'm sure the inspector, when we build it, they're gonna see and watch it, and if they don't approve it, we can change it.
It also goes right up against I'm looking at the floor plan, an A3. That whole assembly, specifically the sliding door, goes right up against the
Mm.
other exterior wall. So there's no spacing there. I'm not sure if that's intentional. So that will be a different look as well. I'm assuming not because that would be a waterproofing nightmare. Like I can't imagine that that's how it's actually going to get built.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, I will say, going off kind of changing course a little bit, the overall massing, I think looks good. I think the siding looks good. It's really just a matter of, I think, the fenestration of the windows and really working that out.
Yeah,
Seems
I
like
agree.
that's the challenge. So overall, I think the design
Yeah,
is fine.
right.
I was actually thinking it's very benign, like it kind of blends, it seems to work.
Mhm.
It's really just more of the windows and the
Yeah.
doors.
So what do you guys think about approving the project with the chair review with these changes and detailing out the windows and doors?
Yeah, I mean,
Or-
I think that if the, I think we need to see them
Yeah.
as they will.
Yeah,
be
I think
when
it's,
we get for-
it's difficult to approve it without knowing what they're gonna look like.
Okay. Okay.
I think chair review would be okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I trust you.
Me too.
But I think the idea would be a chair review where the drawing of the windows would accurately represent what you intend on building. So if that window changes, if it has a 4-inch or 6-inch sill, if it's going to be separated from the door, like the drawings would be revised to sort of reflect those conditions. Or if they're all joined just so that it represents what we'll see when it's constructed. So are there any other?
I think that was the only main
Mainly that-
concern,
the door
yeah.
At the back, the door window combination?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
somebody commented that, to see what it would look like with trim around the windows.
Yeah,
but
I
don't-
mean, I'm fine without the trim
Okay.
if that's the intent.
Yeah, just an accurate rendering of the rear patio
Yeah.
doors and windows.
Yeah, to show it how it's going to be built. I think, like Samantha said, that patio door will kind of be offset slightly from that exterior wall, inside corner. The inside corner right now doesn't have, there's probably going to be some blocking or something where so that that patio door F right now, just because the drawings are so small, it just looks like the door is installed right at that inside corner, but in reality, there's probably going to be like,
Where the door hits the wall of the bedroom.
From the inside, there's a wall.
right,
But inside, there is a wall, 6 inches wall. So you see that the door is right here, but inside, it's wall.
right. So,
Outside, you only see just a lot.
Makes you-
it's,
It's that
okay. No, we're just saying in terms of waterproofing and everything at that corner, because it's an inside corner. To waterproof that, when you install the door, you'll have like waterproofing to wrap around, it'll be wrapped around the inside corner. So it would just be,
One, 18 inches concrete.
Yeah.
That is going to step up. So, and then, besides that, there is a roof
okay.
all around the building. So the wall is not going to be only that on top, covers that corner, and the other.
Okay. I mean, if it's going to be built exactly at that inside corner, then that's fine. I think we were just asking if that's how it's really
The
going to be.
intent.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I would say is that, hold on, I gotta go back to the elevation. The north elevation, the new window, there's only one new window on the north elevation on sheet A7 I'm looking at specifically. And that window, it's minor, but if you look at the dimensions and the proportions of the existing against that one, it's just slightly different. See how it's just a little bit slightly shorter? And it's kind of like, well, why not make it? And if that's a standard size window, then that makes sense to me because I don't expect anyone to buy custom windows. But my sense is that none of the dimensions of the windows are standardized here. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, similar, that one and even the one on the east elevation bedroom.
Mhm.
I feel like if the bottom was stretched down to match the sill of the existing windows, it would feel
Yes.
more
cohesive.
cohesive, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, they're minor changes, but I feel like they're little things that can be tweaked that don't really add cost or very minimal cost to make it look just a little bit better.
Actually, the north elevation on A7, if you look at the plan, it's going to be wider. I think that they drew it smaller than the,
That's
if you
window
look at
9.
the plan, there
So
are
I
three
think
of
that
them.
the north elevation is mislabeled. It should be window 8.
8. Okay, yeah, I see that.
Yes, it's window 8, and then the length, actually the width is 7.5 feet. So I think on the elevation, they didn't draw it properly. It's going to be wider.
Yeah, because the plan, it looks like a much wider
Right,
Yeah.
window.
right.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
actually help that elevation having a bigger window.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the elevations just need to be updated to reflect what is actually gonna be built.
Yes, that elevation has to be up, yes.
So should we approve the project with a chair review,
Yes,
focusing on adjusting the elevations to accurately show the window sizes and placement, and to show specifically on the east elevation, the sliding door and the large window, to show details or some information of what that specific condition is.
right, right. So whether it's separated, if there's something in between the two, if
Mhm.
the window doesn't go all the way down to the patio and it needs like to accurately reflect those conditions.
And kind of the distance to the
Yeah.
adjoining wall.
Mhm.
I do have
So-
one question though. So I was just looking on the north elevation on the plan, there's this like white rectangular box.
Chimney?
Is that a fireplace?
That's the fireplace.
Okay, because that's not shown on the new elevations.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that would be good to get on, because
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
on the elevation on the A7.
Okay. That's fine.
And it's not in the roof plan either.
Good, yeah. That's,
Yeah.
The problem is, for fireplace, there are so many kinds of fireplace. And sometimes when you put it there, it's just then later on when you're building it, you might, see a better one and you just change the fireplace to, the model that you like it.
Well, I guess
That's
the question I would have is, what's it look like on the outside? Is it brick? Is it stone?
Yeah.
How tall does it stick up above the roof?
Okay, we will show that.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
show that, because I think you'll see that and it'll help that elevation. Because there's that blank section that really has a fireplace in it.
Yes.
And from the plan, it looks like the fireplace sticks out of the
Out,
wall.
yeah.
So it would be some vertical element there that you'd see projecting above the roof line.
Unless it's like one of the indirect bent ones and it's built inside.
I mean, just,
Or-
but it's just the way it's drawn.
It looks like it's sticking
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it does.
So I mean,
Yeah.
if it's completely, you'd still see sticking through the roof, but you might not see it on that.
Yeah.
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 But either way, if you see it sticking out of the wall,
Yeah.
we should draw it that way. If it's inside, we should just see it sticking out of the roof.
Yeah. And I also noticed the old the existing fireplace is not shown on the roof plan either.
Existing
Yeah,
fireplace.
there's an existing
In the
fireplace.
bedroom, yeah,
On the south side of
yeah.
it's not shown on the roof plan.
Yeah, it's just a small rectangle on
Yeah.
the corner. Nothing much. As you see it on the elevation, you see it's just
Yeah,
rectangle corner of the front elevation.
okay.
All right. So chair review with updating the drawings to accurately reflect the windows from the plan to the elevations, to show the fireplaces that are on the plans in the elevations, the roof plans, and to show to more accurately represent what will be built on that north patio window combination.
Yeah.
That kind of cover it.
Yeah.
So does somebody want to make a
Make the motion.
Yeah.
I'll take a stab at it. So I'm gonna make the motion to approve the project, which will follow as a chair review, with the condition that the elevations be updated to reflect the accurate size of the windows, and that the east elevation be accurately depicted to show the sliding doors and the window configuration, and that the fireplace, the new fireplace and chimney within the family room accurately be depicted in the elevations and roof plans as well. I think that's it.
Second that.
Okay, so, I guess, will staff please take roll call?
Board Member Carlson,
Yes.
Board Member Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sai,
Yes.
and Chair Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so do I read the, sorry, do I read the? congratulations? Okay. Congratulations, this project has been approved, subject to the conditions of approval. This decision is final unless an appeal is filed within 15 days from today. No construction or activity may commence during this period. Appeal forms may be obtained from the city clerk's office. Thank you. This closes the public hearing for agenda item number 7. So we now move on to comments from the city council liaison, which we do not have tonight. And then we now move on to comments from our design review board members. Are there any comments from the board?
No.
Right, no comments?
Nope.
Okay, we now move on to comments from our subcommittees. We do not have any subcommittees, so no comments there. So thank you, board members. We are now moving on to comments from staff.
Thank you, Chair Nichols. Happy New Year, board members. So just a couple, I think it's one item. Besides, thank you all and Happy New Year's. And just for the interest of the board, Planning Commission, it's Tuesday meeting, which a couple of days ago, they approved a Chevron gas station, which is down over right next to City Hall. So Chevron gas station submitted an application to reconstruct their convenience store and also demolish the the repair garage, but the gas canopy is gonna remain. So Planning Commission approved the reconstruction. Basically, what they did is going to make the convenience store bigger, so it'll be tucked in at the corner behind the gas canopy. So the reason the project I went to Planning Commission because part of the application involves conditional use permit, so they want to able to off-sell alcoholic beverages. So that's why the project, typically this type of project go to design review board. Since it requires a conditional use permit, the entire project went to planning commission instead. So for the interest of the this body, the planning commission at its Tuesday meeting approved the kind of reconstruction of the convenience store, make it larger convenience store at the gas station just right next to City Hall. So just kind of for your interest. And that's all I have today.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I guess that brings us to the end. So we now adjourn to the regular design review board meeting scheduled for Thursday, February 1st, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
So